Hi everybody, welcome back to the channel and welcome to another airbrushing for the beginner. Today's video we are looking at skulls, guys. I'm going to take you through what looks like a photorealistic skull, but I'll show you the easy way of sort of getting this image down to make it look like that using textures and things. Now we're using a different paper. We're using the one that is like the canvas, that's quite a smooth sort of shiny surface, so you can manipulate the paint a little bit easier. I'm using a different paint as well. I'm using Comart. We've got a black and a white Comart. I'm going to mix a couple of grey scale tones to go in on this skull, so nothing complicated, nice and easy. I'll show you that. We've got an electric eraser. I'll leave a link in the description where you can pick these ones up. These are really good because these are rechargeable. You get two tip sizes in these. You get the small eraser and then you can change over and get the slightly bigger one. And they're just like a press trigger. Job done. So I'll leave the link in the description for that. We've got what was left over from the last episode. We've got some white acrylic pencils. We can use them. We've got a scalpel to get some real sharp little scratch details in if we need to. Cleaning products, we've got water, we've got thinners. As the Takumi, as the custom micron is here, I'm going to be using this one today. This was in the last video, so we're going to use that for this. You don't need to use the custom micron to get this picture down. You can do this with a 0.2, not a problem, because you've not got a lot of detail on this. It may look like it, but it's mainly textures. It's dropping the paint on and you're manipulating the paint back, but you'll see that in the video. Now on this piece here, I've got a piece of tracing paper. It's an expensive way of doing it, but I've put a piece of tracing paper over it. I've just outlined the actual outside of the skull. So we're going to cut that out. And to get this piece where it's got the runs and the black around the edge, we'll put that in last. And then underneath that, I've got the skull projected up and penciled out. Now, when you project your skull up, if you're using a projector or if you're using a printout, you can use a printout and then you can use what's called trace down. I'll pop it up in the screen now. You can use a trace down where you would put like the carbon under a A4 printed out. So if you had this printed out on A4 in black and white, you'd put the trace down paper behind and then you can put your copied picture on top. So you've got your trace down paper underneath and then pencil over, you'll be penciling over all the outlines and all these little markings, and it will go through to your white panel and leave you a penciled outline. So you can do it that way. I'm projecting up and basically going around the artwork with a pencil. Now the more detail and pieces you can put down for your reference, so on here we've got all the cracks, the lines, and all where the sort of key points are on this is to match the same as this, and that just gives you a rough guide so you know where you are on the picture. If you didn't have these lines and that was just the outer of the skull and you've got to paint that, you've then got to start gridding it out, locating that where that eye socket is, locating it there, the nose, and you'd have to grid it in boxes and put all them pieces in the boxes. Now that is the real old school way of doing it, but it just takes way too long, guys. If you've got a projector or an overhead projector, project your image up, get it across. It makes life easier, and that's what it's about. You don't want to go down the hard route in things. Go the easiest route possible and use all the pieces in your toolbox to get the job done. Don't make it hard for yourself. So we've got that piece on there. We'll cut this out later on. We'll just scalpel that out so we've got that as a shield, so we can drop it over the face of the skull and cover all the artwork that we've worked on here. And then we'll literally put the black in and we'll do paint runs. I'll do a build up of paint, let the paint run down to get these effects. And then we'll highlight the tips of the runs and that'll make them pop off the panel. So I'll stick you in some time lapses, talk you through it along the way. I'll do a piece and then I'll talk you through what I did and we'll just work it like that all the way through the video. So sit tight, grab yourself a drink and we'll crack on. See you in a bit. Right guys, before we start, I've mixed some paint. Now, nice and simple. I didn't go measuring it, seeing how many drops there were. I've just dropped a load of white in one and then put a bit of black in, so we've got a light grey. Then went the same again, dropped some white and then went in a little bit darker grey. Then I've gone same again and then a little bit darker, so adding a little bit more black. And then we've got a white to start and we've got a black to finish. So they sort of go in a light to dark. And you've got your lights, your next dark, your blacks and things like that. So we'll use them colours, nice and simple. Don't stress if you don't get your colours mixed perfectly to the picture. You don't have to. Make it your own. That's what it's about. Don't get stressed over, I've got to match that colour and that tone there, I've got to match that one. You've not. Just mix your own set and make it your own. You're not going to copy, complete copy someone else's work. This is another piece of artwork that someone's done, but we're not going to identically match it to that. There'll be different textures on this piece as we go along. So I will now stick you in a time lapse. Enjoy the footage and I'll see you in a bit when we get ready to chat for the next bit. Right guys, I sort of got carried away in the time lapse. Now, this is not picture perfect. You've not got to get it to every little bone structure on the face. This is a beginner's class, so I'm going to go with it at that. That's as far as I'm taking it. I could sit here for another 2-3 hours working all the textures in this school, but no, I'm not going to. I'm going to leave it at that. I will talk you through how I did that. I went in with a very light grey, and in episode, the one that showed you the textures, the one before this, which was episode 6, I think it was the John Lennon one, or the one before that, where I was showing how you do the little dot textures. I'm just going and doing loads of them, and doing the first pass of them with the real light grey, then going with the eraser, and it was struggling. It's really, really hot in here, guys, and the paint was drying up quick in the micron. It was struggling, and this is Com Art, and it was just drying really fast. I've got water in it as well, and it was just a struggle to paint this because it is so hot in here. So light grey, and then just manipulate it over, doing the same sort of squiggly, touching the paint and getting these sort of like random textures where your highlights are here. So you've got your dark sort of, this is all speculate, it's very bitty. So you're just recreating that by knocking the paint back and bringing them highlights sort of back out. We could go a lot brighter here. We could go brighter and put more textures in here. This could be really brightened up, knocking it back. But this, and I went through about 2 or 3 erasers, just kept snapping, because it's, this paint, once it goes down, it's quite, because it's so hot, it's really hard to manipulate on this paper. This paper isn't sort of, if it was synthetic paper, you would knock it back and the paint comes off a lot easier. This, it's textured like a canvas and you are really pushing with the eraser. So some of the tips on the eraser, they just kept snapping. I kept having to move this piece up here. And these are tiny little eraser bits. And in the end, you just keep pressing and pressing. The eraser does that and then snaps off. So I've got as many textures in as I could. So I've dropped a few textures in along here, a little bit there. We've got a little bit around the teeth. I went in with the Posca paint pen and just done a very light squiggly line around the top, just to highlight that, and then went back in with the black, just a bit of black under there. Now what will make this pop is when we chop this out, drop this over the skull like that, and then we'll do a black, we'll get this black effect round the skull here, and that will just make this pop forward, because you're looking at it at bright white. Once you put the outline in there, it'll sharpen this right up, guys. So I'll stick on the time lapse again. All I'm doing is, if you've got this chopped out, you're sort of copying the same one. Chop the outer skull out on your image that say you've printed out. Place it over your skull. And now we're aiming to do this piece here, which is, if you stick this piece on, you'll see me in the time lapse. I'll just be doing dagger strokes across, putting a black outline round here. And then when we come to here, I'm going to do some dagger strokes down, like that. And then I'm just going to get a bit of paint and try and get these runs just by pouring a bit of paint and see how we get on. I might use a cotton bud and just drop it and just see if we can get a run out of this. So I'll see you in the next time lapse. There you go, guys. Nice, quick, nice, easy one for tonight's video. Cut it out, and as I say, once you do the blacks around there, it just goes boom and makes that pop forward a bit. You could spend more and more hours getting more textures in here, but for a basic type, semi sort of textury, realistic-y type skull, it's not bad. It was a quick one. I tried to do the paint runs with pouring the paint, and it just spewed out all the way down here. So I got a cotton bud in the end, just put a bit on the cotton bud and just dragged it down just to get a similar sort of effect to a paint run. You could then go in on top and you could just see the popping the highlight on top of the run like that. That gives it a look of a little highlight on top where the light would catch it. So there's no end of little like textures and things. You can just keep dropping in, adding little textures. And this is what you do when you go down the photorealistic route. You're manipulating the paint, you're adding layers and you're taking them away. And the airbrush is basically a tool just to get the paint down. It's all these other things that come into play, erasers, scalpels and things like that. They're the things that all come into play when I go down the photorealistic route. But that's quite a decent looking skull. So I hope you enjoyed the video, and don't forget, if you're new to the channel, click that subscribe and press that notification. And I will see you in episode 8, where I will do another sort of basic thing. This is basic, guys, it's nothing fancy. We'll do another one, and hope you can join me in that. So thanks for watching. See you in the next one, guys.